Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Buckets. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers, so I would appreciate your subscription. Anyways, let's talk about something that I have believed for a long time, but never really had any reason to make a video about. And honestly, I still don't, but I am bored and I wanted to talk about it, and it's my YouTube channel. I'll do what I want. So, for important context, let's just start from here. I made a video a long time ago about it was ranking the best sixth men of all time. And in my ranking, Jamal Crawford did not crack the top 10, I don't think. In fact, I had a whole segment in the video about why Jamal Crawford was overrated. And following this video being released about an hour after it went up, Jamal Crawford followed me on Twitter, which was the first time an NBA player had ever followed me on Twitter, and was a very interesting experience. Following that, he unfollowed me a little bit later. So to me, it felt like a weird, I don't know, intimidation tactic or something. I don't know. Interesting thing that happened. And since then, I've always been hung up on this Jamal Crawford thing. And very recently, the greatest basketball mind of our generation, aka BallDontStop, made a video on why Jamal Crawford in today's NBA, we're talking about a player that retired a few years ago, by the way, in today's NBA would be a franchise superstar player. And that really grinded my gears. So I decided to make a tweet about it that went kind of, for me, viral. It got like 15,000 likes or whatever. So let's talk about Jamal Crawford and why I think he is comically overrated. So I'm just going to pull up some stats for you first. And I just want to say, obviously, this is just my opinion. And this, I think he's overrated based on my own value set for a basketball player. So before I even break down his game, I will say that among my value set, if you are an underperformer in the playoffs, I don't care much about your regular season stuff. Like, I'll recognize it for regular season awards and such, but I don't think you're a good player if you're good in the regular season and bad in the playoffs. So I would wager, I don't even believe that Jamal Crawford is particularly good in the regular season, or I should say was, but in the playoffs for his career, 14 points, 2 assists, shoots 38% from the field, 31% from three, and then, he shoots his free throws just fine at 86%. If you go to advanced stats and you look at true shooting percentage for his career playoffs, he is at 49% true shooting. And if you go to the regular season for his career, he is only at 53% true shooting, although to be fair to him, that was not that much worse than league average. But when it comes playoff time, 50%, 49%, it's 49.6. It's just not good. Not to mention the many years where it's even worse than that, including a year where he had a 45% true shooting percentage for the Clippers. And if you look at if we're continuing to look at advanced stats, his actual impact metrics for his entire career, Jamal Crawford is just barely a negative. And why would that be? Why would Jamal Crawford, a player who won 3 Six-Man Year awards, not actually be impacting winning? Well, first of all, he played for a lot of bad teams. Now, you could argue that's unlucky on his part. However, I feel that a lot of these teams were bad in part because Jamal Crawford was trusted to be a big part of their offense and a quote-unquote franchise-level star. Because what BallDontStop seemed to fail to recognize is that Sixth Man of the Year Jamal Crawford on the Los Angeles Clippers is not the only version of Jamal Crawford. There were many years throughout his career where he was a starter, including a year in New York where he averaged 20 points per game, and I believe if he's not the leading scorer, he's close to it. No, he was the leading scorer, sharing a backcourt with Stephon Marbury, which is a crazy backcourt, but they won 23 games. If you go and look at his earlier years in Chicago, a similar thing. Pretty much all of his years with the Knicks, he was starting, he was getting a decent volume of scoring going, and the team was not winning. Why? Because Jamal Crawford Crawford is not a winning player because he's an abysmally terrible defensive player. So there's a starting point. Not just not good, not just bad, horrible defensively. He not a good playmaker, period. He might make a pass here or there, and he does have 3 assists for his career and average 5 assists at one point or another. But as you should hopefully well know, assist total and assist average is not necessarily indicative of being a really good playmaker. Zach LaVine for the last couple of years has averaged 4 assists a game. I can tell you he is not a good playmaker from firsthand experience. So abysmal defender, horrible playmaker, but hey, at least he gets buckets, right? And that's something that I have been defensive of forever. Like, at the end of the day, if you can get buckets at an efficient clip, then there's not much argument to be had that you're a good basketball player, because scoring the ball is the single most important skill in the game. I care about versatility. I care about being able to do, you know, a variety of things. That's what versatility is, so I said the same thing twice. I care about all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you can get buckets, you can get buckets. That's why I still think Zach LaVine is overall a good NBA player, even if, like Jamal Crawford, terrible defense and playmaking. But unlike Jamal Crawford, Zach LaVine is really efficient and scores pretty high volume in the point department. Meanwhile, Jamal Crawford was about 14 points for his career. At his peak, hovered around 17 or so, and does so on below league average efficiency, and in the playoffs, his efficiency isn't remotely respectable. So it'd be one thing if he had super high volume and the efficiency wasn't great. Like, when I was arguing this point, someone said, is Allen Iverson not a great player because his efficiency was not great? And if you look at their career true shooting numbers, they're actually really similar. The difference is Allen Iverson won multiple scoring titles. It was averaging easily over 30 points per game multiple times. And there's a huge difference between doing that and averaging 17 points on bad efficiency, while also giving up all those points on the other end because you're that terrible a defender, and shaving points for your own team as well because you stagnate the offense so significantly and you have such significant tunnel vision that your teammates are not able to be elevated based off of your play. So if that's the case, why did Jamal Crawford win 6th Man of the Year? Well, 6th Man of the Year is an award that I have also felt is not even remotely good and super overrated, because that is maybe the single most aesthetic bias award that exists in basketball. And yeah, the award's always been about who can score the most points off of the bench, not about who can do it efficiently, not about who can bring other things to the table. Like, for example, right, there was a year where Lou Williams won 6th Man of the Year when Andre Iguodala was off of the bench for the Golden State Warriors and easily the best bench player in the entire league. Did Andre Iguodala win 6th Man of the Year though? No, because he averaged like 8 points a game. A way better player than Lou Williams, a way more impactful player than Lou Williams, a way better 6th man than Lou Williams, but Lou scored more points, so the award went to him. That award has never been about who's the best bench player. It's been about who can score a high volume of points. But the thing is, even with Jamal, when you compare him to other 6 men throughout league history, they often, if not always, can score points at a similar clip to him, more efficiently, while very often being capable of doing more things. Not universally, but like Lou Williams is that example. Lou Williams is efficient, or at least relatively so. And he won a couple of 6 Men of the Years as well, doing something similar. But actually efficient to the point where I'd say Lou Williams was definitely a positive basketball player. And aesthetic bias is the thing that I mentioned with the 6th Man of the Year award, and it's honestly, Jamal Crawford is a perfect example of aesthetic bias. He is a very fun player to watch. If you go back and watch highlights of Jamal Crawford, yeah, guy has really got a lot of crazy skills, pulls off a lot of moves that you just don't see anyone else do. He's got one of the best highlight reels in the history of basketball. But when it comes to actually winning basketball games, when it comes to being a good player, when it comes to being a franchise cornerstone, it takes a lot more than being able to pull off some pretty moves that highlight on SportsCenter. It's not the same thing, and Jamal Crawford is overrated. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.